People, deluded. I hope you're all doing well and safe this Tuesday morning. Here to speak about really just a bit of transfer news. Really, you don't know I don't really like doing this, but courtesy of rumors I've been seeing on Twitter, allegedly we want Under from Roma. Now he's in contract talks with Roma, so I'm not sure how to believe that. At least he appears to be from rumours, at least on Twitter, in regards to his contract. So allegedly Arsenal and Spurs are interested, and we've seen that we're interested at a couple of points this season, and allegedly at a point we made official contact with his representatives. Now that's a pretty common thing for all clubs interested in players. They will talk to a player's camp or try and gauge how feasible a transfer is, or possibly what maybe that party is seeking financially or in terms of a deal. Because you got to remember, a player, it's not as simple as I want to sign Deluded for my team. Here you go, Deluded. There's a lot of advisors and lawyers and corporate folk and I's to be dotted and T's to be crossed. So you've got to gauge little things. Personally, it sounds like we're probably being used. Us and Spurs are probably being, the interest of both two clubs, better yet, is being used to try and get a better deal. Because Under is someone that's been linked with £50 million moves to a couple of clubs, and he is a youngish sort of winger with a lot of potential. And if you look at the Roma model, possibly if he develops, he is sold on to a bigger club or elsewhere eventually. So I feel he's just using the interest of both to probably get a better deal. Again, I'm not a Roma fan and I don't know how long he actually has on his contract and things like that, but that's what I feel. Another Roma player we've obviously been linked with, Manolas. Apparently we're ready to do this thing, pay his release clause, even if it is paying slightly higher. His agent is Mino Renola. I can never say his name, but we've started to deal with him in the past with Daniel Marlin, recently with Mkhitaryan and things like that. So it is possibly feasible. Would he improve our defence on the basis that he's better than certain options? Yes, and I think he's a decent defender. But there are question marks over him. And if we're going to pay more than his release clause, could it be feasible to take that 40, maybe 50, however much it is, forgive me if I'm wrong, and splash that on someone whose best years are in front of them, or someone that kind of makes you feel a bit more confident? Not that, because like I said, I think Manolas is decent, but I'd rather, if we're going to spend 40, maybe 50 in terms of add-ons and stretch the deal, that we'd possibly go for one of these young French sort of centre-halves in whatever club. You lot got different examples. There's something crazy in the water in France. Going for them sort of guys there. So I don't feel we're going to sign either one, but it's nice to see we're linked with centre-halves, not just him. Obviously, Dukaram, I can never say his name, but Getafe centre-half. We've been linked with couple centre-halves here and there. As well, Brandt looks to be what we already knew. Him, maybe Hazard as well. Thorgan Hazard completing their moves to Dortmund now. Spurs wanted him, and as well as Arsenal, and it would have been a coup for both sides to sign Brandt, in my opinion. Can play out wide, can play in the middle, youngish sort of age, and got time on his side. And Spurs with their stadium stuff, Arsenal with how we are as a club, both teams have to we have to speak about possible resale value of players. I know Spurs, they probably never sell Kane, but if the event that it was a madness, he's bringing in some change. Dele Alli as well. Decision will have to be made on the likes of Ericsson and players like that. Toby's an exception to the rule because of his release clause and his age, but he would bring in some sort of feed. You get what I'm getting at? So he would have provided that with both, but it looks like our loss is Dortmund's gain, and if Dortmund get Thorgan Hazard and him for under probably 70 million, because you'd probably think 40 for one of them at least, it'd be a great bit of business. Allegedly they're going to do both for 40, and considering they sold Pulisic for 50 or so, that's good business in my opinion, so I applaud them. Ndombele, there's talk of him going to Spurs again. I hope it's only talk, but if Spurs sign him, that's a big boy signing for Spurs. Possibly Arsenal and Spurs should have signed him 2 years ago before he went to Lyon, but or 3 years, whenever it happened. But if Spurs manage to pull that off, that's a big boy signing, and that's a couple more will be needed. But they know they need a midfielder. I think he's got the potential to be one of the best midfielders in the world, because he's shown he can do the box-to-box thing. He's shown he's got technical ability to deliver in the final third. He can obviously put a foot in and win the ball back. He can be a complete midfielder. So if Spurs sign him, that's a coup for them. He'll be good there for a couple of years, and I can't lie, I think he's destined for the Madrids and Barca. So if that's true and he comes and does the business for Spurs and then he's sold for 100 or so and crazy fees, then it's a decent bit of business. Now Juventus are linked with him, PSG, and a couple of other sides. If them two sides are linked with you, you'd think they win the race. But based on reports, it appears Spurs are ahead. So that's a testament of Spurs' ambition. If they have no money and all of these sort of things you've heard around Spurs, if they sign, and that's a big boy signing. It won't change the world, and they'll need other signings. But imagine Ndombele in that side. That's a real midfielder. Which, if I'm honest, I think Spurs lack that sort of. I know Ericsson drops deep and they've got midfielders, people, and Sissoko's been informed. But if we're honest, people like Sissoko, they're capped. Their capabilities are capped. He can win the ball back. His finishing and his passing isn't necessarily two attributes he's known for. Dembele is not necessarily known for his finishing, but he's better in the final third with in front of goal, and better than that, his passing is better, and he can do what Sissoko does to a much greater standard. So having Sissoko in the squad or possibly starting alongside Dembele, if Ericsson's still there, it provides some decent midfield options for what's his face, Pochettino. But where are we, man? We should be involved in that. Now, Spurs are in a better shape than us and stuff, but on terms of finances, if Spurs got money to sign Ndombele, I know we're allegedly broke, but surely we can find a couple pennies to rub together and get Ndombele, because he ticks the boxes. First and foremost, he's got time on his side in terms of age, so there's resale. The man's a baller, can play a couple of roles, and I'm keen to see what specific sort of midfield role he defines himself as in the future. When you're like someone like Ndombele, like you see, or Pogba to a degree, even though he's a slight thing for it, people want to put you as a defensive mid, and there are aspects to his game like that. But for me, he's box to box. He's a complete midfielder, man. He can do the defensive work. He can contribute in an attacking sense. Even some of the goals Leon has scored, like good team moves. He's done cute little flicks and stuff. So that would, and he's obviously an upgrade on all midfielders we have, man. Can you imagine him and Torreira together? To be fair, people, he would pay for himself via his resale value, via his consistency. If Spurs got peas for that, surely we can get involved in that. Now that would probably be a hefty chunk, and to be fair, Spurs have the luxury of, even if Toby leaves, and I've actually heard talk of Lloris leaving, they've got a back 4 or 5, whatever in it, like. Even if you don't want to look at the abilities of both centre backs or whatever of our best centre backs, they've got some terrific options. They've got. You see what I'm saying? They've got Vertonghen, Toby, Sanchez. They can mix and match and do a couple things. Now Arsenal don't have that luxury, because we need to sign a centre half, a central midfielder, a winger. That's the spine, people, for me. And then we can talk about other positions. Now, Dembele is going to cost a pretty penny. That could be Spurs' only signing, or Spurs make max 2. We need 3. How can I advocate signing Dembele if just on the basis that Spurs are linked with him? How can I advocate for us signing him if we might not necessarily have money for a centre-half or a winger? Again, don't shoot the messenger like my guy Marcus Scott, he said in the comments. But who knows our budget? Let's not get hung up on specifics of a budget in terms of a fee. We know we're going to be working with a reduced budget. So if we just take that in mind, we have to be a bit sensible, not only in our expectations, but in what the club physically can do. Because on top of what's crippling us as well, is the wage bill. And it's naive to think that even if we had 100, 200 million, 190, 200 million, we can't spend it all without moving players on, and we'll probably face sanctions again. I'm just a football fan. I know football. I don't know finances and rules and all these sort of things. But yeah, man, you see where I'm getting at with that, people. So yeah, final word. Apparently we played a behind closed door friendly recently, and Danny Welbeck scored 3. So hopefully, and it looks like, at least what we're told privately is that outside chance of him being involved in the Europa League final at some capacity. We know he's going to depart the club at the end of the season, so it'd be a perfect send-off for Danny Welbeck, man. And just in terms of a man's health and a cup final, I'd love to see him involved in some capacity. I'd love to see him on the bench. I'd love to see him return to full health, and it's nice to see that he's back kicking a ball and scoring hat-tricks and things, because that's what he loves. That's his profession, and whatever your profession is, if you can't do it, it's a bit of a stress, people. So yeah, man. As well, off topic, but big up Santi Cazorla as well. Obviously, I've seen he's in the Spain squad. He's played a decent amount of times for Villarreal. There was talk that he might not be able to play to this level, so to see him in the Spain squad, big up himself. And I mean, if you want to come back to the club for a year, come back, Santi, man. I know people say age and whatnot, but he's proved his fitness, man. And I'm a big fan of Santi, so I'm not exactly making the most logical call, but I will take him back. Also, the ambassador to England from Azerbaijan has personally guaranteed the safety of Henrik Mkhitaryan and both Arsenal and Chelsea players, as well as fans, for the Europa League. Now, Again, I don't know the specifics, but Armenia and Azerbaijan, they probably have some politics dating back way before my time, preventing Mkhitaryan from getting into the country. How UEFA got into a situation where they know there might be other countries, but there's Armenian players playing within this competition, playing for one of the favourites in this competition, expected to get to the latter rounds. How they couldn't consider that, in fact, that it might not be wise to put it in this country. Again, I'm not taking a side, but just in terms of his intentions, it wasn't smart, people, because he might guarantee the safety and whatnot. And if I was Mkhitaryan, I think Mkhitaryan will go and play, but he's got a lot to consider. Safety comes first, and he's got to liaise with his family. He's probably got older heads and grandmas and granddads and stuff who can shed more light on this and whatnot. Hopefully they come together and he makes the safest decision, and I think he will be safe. But at the end of the day, I don't feel no one can necessarily guarantee your safety regardless of a phone call or not. So it's a tough decision for Mkhitaryan to make, and I don't feel anyone can hold it against him if he chooses not to, because these sort of things there are actually nothing to do with football. And at the end of the day, he's only a footballer. He's not part of the secret society or something. So who really can guarantee his protection? It's not like he's the PM where there's going to be bulletproof cars and stuff. Not saying any of this is going to happen to him, but in terms of safety, if I was him, you've got to think safety first. So I think we've spoken about a couple of players we've been linked with. We've spoken about Danny Wells, touched on Santi and Mkhitaryan. On that note, I've got to keep it moving, people. Thank you for watching. Deluded, I'm out.